Man, what a fucking day.
What a fucking storm. God damn.
Did you just fucking throw up?
Yeah, how can you tell?
And the thing is, like, it's been raining a lot over here as well. We're just not catching a lot of flooding like Dallas is over here. Like, all I see is fucking videos of like people, just drive in. They're stupid. They're driving into it, and then like, what do you expect? Like, you can
Oh,
clearly see it's flooded, but you take your little ass Prius thinking you're gonna just drive through it. Like, what are you thinking? Right? Like, we have big trucks, but even though we're not dumb enough to, going through 5-6 feet of water, because it's like still, even though our big trucks, it's not
yeah.
healthy for it. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah. No, well, with that tropical storm coming in, everything over here where we are flooded. And yeah, it's been rough the last week, man.
Yeah.
And like obviously you just heard it a minute ago, we had technical difficulties, but on a fucking side note,
How much of a side note?
I don't know. We'll see. Happy motherfucker day, aka that dude ain't shit day, aka Mother's Day #2, or I guess single Mother's Day.
Yeah, because
AKA,
they get to celebrate it too when they can't figure they picked the wrong baby daddy. So
yeah, aka Happy fucking Father's Day. But my favorite is Happy Motherfuckers Day. So
yeah, it's always funny to me because like you have all of these single moms, which nothing wrong with single moms. I grew up with a single mom, but then you're like, single moms need to be recognized on fucking Father's Day. I'm like, why? You don't see single dads saying like, hey, wish me a happy Mother's Day because I'm doing both roles. Like,
yeah, I don't think I've ever heard or seen a single dad be like, I'm a mom and a dad. Like,
no, because we would say, no, you're just fucking gay is what you are. Like, that's what it is. Like we don't sit like the times that you and I were, single dads, in between relationships. Like, we don't sit here and go like, look at us, we're fucking celebrating Mother's Day because we're single dads. It's like, no, because we're not fucking gay. Like, so it's just so stupid. What'd you do with your snuff cup? You spilled it?
fucking all over my leg.
God, dude, see, you're so stupid, man. Like, you're so fucking dumb.
It's supposed to be idiot fucking proof.
You're proving it wrong every day you use it.
I know, like, but I did put a good sticker on it. But no, like, being a dad is fucking so weird. Like, growing up, I don't think I ever thought I'd be a fucking dad.
You see, and I thought the opposite. Like, I wasn't now I wasn't one of those guys that's like, oh, I can't wait to be a dad. But I always knew I was like, nah, I'm looking forward to the day that I become a dad. But I wasn't one of those ones that was like, dude, I can't wait to be a dad. Like, it's going to be so awesome. No, I was, I had those pull and pray moments, like, God, if this woman is just, this chick isn't pregnant, like, I'll go to church every Sunday morning. I always had those, those back-ended deals with guys, I trust me, don't get me wrong. Like, there's plenty of times where I was hoping that chick wasn't pregnant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, but I always knew that I wanted to be a dad. And I was looking to the point of like, yeah, I like the thought of being a dad someday, but I was no mean in a rush to do it.
Yeah. Which, I do sit back, and I'm not going to say who did it. I think but about the abortion, right? You know about that?
For you?
Yeah.
I believe I know what you're talking about. I don't quite remember.
Yeah. Which
I'm blanking on the name, but yeah.
Well, I don't know how you're blanking on a fucking name.
Well, yeah, you have a
You
theme of the
don't,
same name
yeah,
for
don't,
yeah,
yeah,
you have the
just
theme
don't.
of the same name in your past, so it's one
Yeah,
or the
well,
other.
but no, one of the exes,
Is it
that
number 1 or
young
number
woman.
2?
I'm not saying because I know that she watches the show or listens to the
Okay,
show,
that narrows it down.
and um, I don't know how much of her family watches or listens to the show, but I do know that she does. So it's one of those things that, I don't know if she talks openly about it, but whenever we were younger, she got pregnant and then, she had an abortion. And, that one's still like, those are hard for a man whenever,
And
how is it that a man or a woman can get pregnant,
yeah,
and if the dad doesn't want the baby, he's still liable for child support or, some
and
sort of custody thing afterwards. But a woman
yeah,
can terminate a pregnancy at their own given time
yeah,
or whatever.
and and the
And
and the thing about it is what's crazy is, like, you know, in order for the father to not be allowed, they have to go through that entire court process of giving up rights. You know what I mean? Like, to
yeah,
sign their rights away. Like, it's a whole bunch of things. Like, we'll just sign your rights away. I was like, you don't understand what that entails. It's not an easy thing. You know what I mean? It's a
hmm,
process to do that. And and personally, obviously, yeah, I get, like, if you want to just not be responsible, that's your choice. I think it's wrong. It's like, you need to just step up and be a dad, obviously.
yeah,
But then it's like but the other side of the equation, you have the mom who has all control of that situation, obviously depending on the state. And it's like, well, hold up. Why doesn't it's a 50-50 combination of to make this child. Why is it
yeah,
100% now control over the fate of this child? And
yeah.
that's what's bullshit.
Yeah, but it's like, well, some states you can't even terminate your parental rights unless there's someone that's going to adopt. So regardless if you want it or not,
Really?
yeah, there's areas that you can't even terminate, or maybe you can terminate, but you're still liable for it or something. I don't remember. It was a conversation that we had, me and someone had at one point in time. But yeah, which is weird. But the woman has all decision to terminate or keep, where the man has, no qualms against it. Like you can't say one way or another. It doesn't fucking matter. You looking it up?
Okay, so this is what I typed in. I said, "Are there states that you can't sign away your rights for your child at will?" Because that's basically what we're
Hmm.
asking.
Yeah,
No, there are no U.S. states where a parent can unilaterally sign away their parental rights for a child at will via private agreement, form, or contract that takes effect without court involvement. And that's a weird way to put it. I'm not sure if it's saying yes or no.
as far as
There are no U.S. states where a parent can unilaterally sign away their parental rights for a child at will via private agreement, form, or contract. Can you understand that? Because I'm not
yeah,
talking.
it's saying that you can't sign away. You can't just sign your rights away. You can't
Okay.
just decide to sign your rights. Which I know that there's limitations on that. I know that there's ways that you could, I guess, technically do it. I believe, but I think that in most circumstances there has to be another individual that would take over that side of the rights, whether it's a grandparents or whatnot.
Or if the mom is willing, obviously, to do it, to take on full.
I don't think you can just give it to the mom. Maybe you
Well,
can,
why
or
not? If the mom is, automatic custody in the end.
yeah, which is back to like what I was saying, like that bill that was written that I wrote. Like, I think child support's a shitty fucking. I think it should be go off of either the parent that makes the most, if they want primary custody because they don't need child support, then they should get custody of the children as a primary. Or if a parent, because I think that if a parent needs child support, I think that I'm trying to think of how to say this without being a complete fucking asshole.
Shut up.
If you choose to be a parent, so if I'm a parent in my house and there's someone that's the other side of the parenting agreement in another house, and my outlook is if one doesn't need child support, then that should be the one that gets the primary custody of the kids, because obviously they can't parent without that other individual's, support, where one party can say, okay, well, I can completely do it. Because look, in my house, I'm going to have to provide the house, the mortgage, the lights, the water, the food, the resources, the clothing, everything. And they have to do it at their house as well. Why is it that if we're both the parents, why am I having to pay that person, whether they make the same amount as me or near the same amount of me? Because look, I could, even after me paying what I pay in child support every month, I could still, even with paying that, I could still turn around and I could raise the kids 100% by myself without child support.
Uh,
And
and so I think about it in two different scenarios, right? Like I agree with what you're saying. So here's two ways. Here's like the perfect world scenario, which is like, obviously we could probably never get to this perfect world scenario. And then here's a scenario that is like, it's like, with your bills. Damn, I heard that one. um,
yeah, there's some good
uh,
ones.
um, here and then here's one of the scenarios that like I'm willing to accept. I don't, again, I still think it's like too much in the end, but like I'm willing to accept this notion as like one of those, quote unquote bipartisan ways to look at it, right? One, it's like, look, you have when the children are with you, if you're in the same area right there, like a true 50-50, right?
Mhm.
Then when the kids are with you, you're responsible for taking care of the kids. When the kids are with the other one, then they're responsible for taking care of the kids, right? Like, I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
how it should be, right? Now, when it comes to like maybe splitting costs for, of course, medical extracurriculars, that's one thing, but like as far as taking care of things while they're with you, just everyday living, then that's like, no, that's on you. You should take care of your kids, right?
Yeah.
Here's the scenario I'm willing to accept. Not It's not a perfect world scenario, obviously, but like, how when you yeah, based on the states, right? Obviously. But like you get divorced and you have alimony or spousal support depending on how it goes, right? Now correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, I don't know much about it because I'm not in the situation, thankfully. Whenever the spouse who is receiving alimony or spousal support, when they get remarried, that ends, right? From the previous one.
Not necessarily. Some,
But sometimes it can, right? Like depending how
yeah,
it's set up.
yeah,
So
yeah.
here's my thing, right? Now, if we were to go in a, let's say, meet in the middle scenario, right? Like we get divorced and obviously, we're going from a dual income household, sometimes even a single income household, just depending on its setup. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, and you split and now maybe the now ex-wife who maybe wasn't working is forced to get a job, obviously, and now you're paying child support, to help offset a little bit, not like, level out the playing field like it was, but offset a little bit, whatnot. But when they get remarried and they have another income come in, it's like, okay, because like when will get remarried, that I brought in two more kids, my stepkids, but that
Yeah.
doesn't get taken into effect, right? And
Correct.
then when they get remarried and they have another income, and then they have why doesn't that get taken to effect? It's like, no, they have now a full household income now. It's like, what, why is this now, like that would be like one of those things like, let's
Well,
terminate that. You know what I mean?
let me set you back there. Okay. So let's say you're a single house, you're either the single household or single income household or whatnot, and you get a divorce. Why isn't it that the main provider, why doesn't they get automatic custody of the kids
No, I
if,
agree with
if
you.
they want?
I agree with
Because
you.
then, because you could eliminate all child support by giving the option of either the highest earner, or if they don't want to be primary, then it reverts to the other parent and then child support would kick in. Or, it should be asked, do you need child support? No. Do you need child support? No. Then, that's where they look at the highest wage earner or the best possible situation. Or they could say, if one parent says, you know what, I want child support now, well, then they give the other parent that option. Hey, they want child support. Do you want full custody or primary custody? Yeah, I want primary custody. Okay, well, now there's no child support. It would take the government out of our lives because they wouldn't have to regulate that shit.
Yeah. And God, and just how they track child support as a whole, and I mean, hell, with me, like when I got divorced, um, I was still in the military, right? Which how getting updating military records and stuff like
Yeah.
that is it can go one of two ways. You can find someone that'll do it on the spot and make sure also, or you find someone that's incompetent and for some reason it just doesn't get done. And you're constantly following up that person like, oh, I did it. And I'm like, well, look, if it's not showing up tomorrow, then call me back. And then again, it's still not fucking done. Like 10 months later, right? So when I go through mine, and you get the notification of, or not the notification, you get the form saying, hey, Cole, this is where you're gonna, get your, I guess, in the Air Force. Well, I want to say not just the Air Force. I think it's military wide, but specifically me. Um, it's kind of required that you get the auto draft for child support from your paycheck. Like that's just a military thing. It's kind of like to make sure it's accountability and whatnot like that, right?
Well, no, actually, that's almost statewide on every state.
In some aspects, but there are ways around it. I've learned that. What I'm saying is, it just depends on how you go about it. Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like the military is very, very like fucking particular about it because they're like, no, this, because and in some aspects, depending on, if that person, a military member and the other one's civilian, I get it. They want to make sure that the kids are getting taken care of if the military member's gone and all around the world and that the kids are staying with the other parent stationary in one place, right?
Yeah.
Shit gets crazy. But what I'm saying is like, I was given the fucking form and it's like, hey, this is what you need to do. I go to finance and I say, hey, I need to do this for my child support, right? Like we don't process it here. You have to send it directly to DFAST, defense, financial, whatever like that, right? It's like, so here's the number. Not the number. Here's the email. You'll just scan it and email to them. That we just don't do that locally. I was like, okay, cool. At least they gave me who to do it, right? I email to them. They email back. We don't process it here at the direct office, but here's the person that does it, and they give me another email. I'm like, okay, fine. I go to that email, and they're like, we don't do that here, and then I keep getting looped around for 5 months, and I'm trying to get this done. Now, granted, I ended up getting out of the military about a year after I got divorced, right? But after about 5 months of trying to do this the right way, first, the military needs me to, right? I have documented proof and I'm still giving her the child support I'm supposed to. I'm sending it to her and I have all the documentation, just in case, right? And they're not trying to come after me. Um, because I know it's like, well, what you have to wait till it starts getting Congress. Like, I'm not playing that game, right? I'm gonna make sure I'm giving the money. But I fucking gave up because they were making it so incredibly fucking horrific to deal with. Luckily, I got out, so I'm not. It wasn't one of those things of like you never started this, and they're trying to hold me, accountable for it necessarily. But then Texas AG sends like a verification of child support if you're not using a state agency to track it, right?
Yeah.
And since that never got set up on my DFAST, there was nothing to prove that was paying it. And so it showed that I owed like 18, 19 grand. I was like, bull motherfucking shit. So I started putting everything together. Luckily, my ex, because you have to get a form like, hey, she has to sign it saying, hey, yes, this is true that he paid all this. Now, luckily, we were in a good position, good, co-parenting. Nothing was going crazy at the time. And, we're still doing good now, thankfully. But like, yeah, I think if you had a vindictive baby mama, which a lot of them are, she could have been like, no, this did not happen. And I would have been on the hook for another 20 grand, essentially 18, 19, 20 grand, because she could say, no, he didn't do this. And even if I took it to court to try to eventually win it, who's to know how much I'm going to spend in court fees and lawyer fees to prove it? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's insane.
So every year, the state and federal government, they keep combined about $1.1 billion through the payment system and all that. And then depending on like, people that are late payment, the, percentage of late fees, and then plus $35 on every single case. and then you've got a transactionary fee and all that. But they keep over $1.1 billion per year out of child support payments. It says or it actually says 1 to 1.4 billion a year. And they're saying that's just to cover TANF. That's not including the late payment fees, processing fees. I apparently there's a bunch of fees. I'd have to dig deeper into this to try to figure out the exact number, but bro, they keep a lot of money. So, damn.
So regarding what I was saying earlier about like there's ways around it, right? Because for a while, like in my decree, there's so you have the state that will send out a letter to your employment to garnish your check, right? Which is what I have what I have now, right? When I first started my job, that wasn't happening, right?
Yeah.
Um, and apparently the finance person at my job wasn't supposed to do this. They were just kind of helping me out at the time. Because I had got my decree adjusted, granted that I got out of the military and, moved here and I'm a civilian now. So I got a few adjustments done. Again, there was no big fight about it. Thankfully, she understood and, it was a really simple process, right? But court order to my finance person say, hey, look, this is going to happen. There's another child support like type of site that Texas uses and tracks. Like they use that as like a secondary. I was using that site where it would auto draft from my account, go through there. So Texas would account for it and then deposit directly to her. Right. And the best part about that is it wasn't doing the little bit from each check every week to the total amount. It was just at the beginning of the month, my full amount for the month. That way I wasn't just divvied out for the entire, over the weeks because it gets quite annoying. Right. And through the garnishment going through the Texas AG, the way it goes through their system, it could take days or maybe a week for that first garnishment of my week of a check from a week to finally get deposited to her from just that 1 week. Like it's just such a shitty system and it takes forever.
Oh,
right?
Damn.
Versus the other system, it would go through, it would auto draft on the first. And then maybe 2 or 3 days later, once it went through the system, it would get deposited as a whole. And then she was good. Right. And therefore it was like, cool, all done, accounted for, no issues. Now, but when they sent the updated, when things got updated and they sent a new order to my employer, I started getting garnished again. I was like, what the fuck? This is not supposed to happen. And I started messaging with the AG office. And so the reason being, and the way you can get around this, right? Because in our decree, it says like, I will use this system, the other secondary system through Texas to track my child support payments, right? And it was agreed upon on the judge, right? Everything signed for, and me and her, everything was fine. But given this is what's so stupid. The reason that I have to fall under the wage garnishment is it's like if she is quote unquote receiving services by the Texas AG, then it's required by law that I get my wages garnished. And we were kind of like, what do you mean receiving services? Like she's not receiving any like services from the AG specifically. So like, what does that mean? Right. And it's like, and in our decree, it says that we'll use this system, not have my check garnished. Like we're trying to understand why this is happening. Right. And basically the child support order, that opens a case with the Texas AG just by, automatic, right? The fact that that case is, the child support order is open as a from the case, that qualifies as quote unquote receiving services from the Texas AG.
That's wild.
Exactly. So they said, and she says she has, I don't know if, to what extent, but if she contacts the Texas AG and closes that case, like from them, then my check can stop getting garnished that way. Now that doesn't mean that takes her off the hook from me paying
Yeah.
child support, because in our decree, I said that I would do it this other way. Right now, obviously, I stopped doing it that way because they're garnishing my fucking check. But that's how you can
Mhm.
get around it. As long as the case for the Texas AG is closed, you can go through other methods. So that's how I figured that out.
Okay. Which, what's fucking insane is, look, if a guy or the child support payer, I'm not even gonna say guy, if the child support payer loses their job, they're still on the hook for that full amount for, however long sometimes it takes
They
years
have
to
to
get their
get into
shit.
fucking court as
Yeah.
soon as possible to get that, because until they go to court and get that like addressed and changed legally on paper,
Mhm.
like there's no escaping it. Like you're still on the hook for
Yeah,
however that amount is, which is stupid.
which is crazy to me because look, if life happens in a household, whether it's a layoff, someone gets fired, someone gets hurt at work and can't work, or anything can happen. If you're in a family household, your family adjusts and they budget accordingly. Why is it that if a child support payer loses their job, they may be filing, and I've talked to a lot of guys about this, they'll file over and over again, like, to emergency situation to look over their child support, like an adjustment and all that. And they may go over a year before hearing anything back. Like, that's fucking insane.
Again,
Like,
it's I don't want to say it's an abuse of the system. It's a neglect of the system, is what it is. They
it's kind of like the VA.
yeah, right. It's a neglect of the system, because it's like I guess two can be true. It's abuse and neglect of the system. There's a
Yeah.
tons of these fucking getting abuse of the system in the entire family court system as a whole across the country. But obviously, we talk about Texas because that's where we are. But across the country, the family court system has to be, in my mind, destroyed, burnt to the ground, and completely rebuilt from the ground up, because there's just nothing salvageable about it. It's completely corrupt and one sided, right?
Oh, yeah.
And again, I'm not against the idea of child support. What I am against is that there's not enough factors taken into account, right? Like there
Yeah.
can be child support if if the factors align to the right points, right? Like it can't just be like, okay, cool, blah 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 blah. You're on the hook for child support. It's like, well, hold up, like you just determining that factor, like like I don't get to argue a case here of why that one, maybe I shouldn't have to pay child support, or two, maybe I shouldn't have to pay that fucking much child support. Like you're just gonna
Yeah.
determine that automatically without a case. Like it's just like, well, that's just what the guidelines say. Well, you ever think your guidelines are fucking wrong? How about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I pay out the ass in child support, plus I pay health and all the health insurance and all that bullshit. Like that shit's expensive. Like that shit's way fucking. I think I pay 1,800 a month in health insurance. Plus, I'm not gonna say the amount that I pay in child support, but it's a lot.
Which, hang on, I was just told this, and again, I don't know if it's true, and I'm not one to say that it's not true, but my thing is like, if this is true, I'm a little pissed but I also get why like it's not advertised, because why would the VA advertise anything to the benefit of the veteran?
Yeah.
But I got a buddy of mine, well, buddy, but like a coworker. Um, he was, as soon as Trump got in office the second time, he was activated to go to the border for as a Marine.
Mm.
And so he was on like a military type leave or whatever like that. And he got back middle of last year, right? Um and so he's trying to get, a bunch of stuff on his, his official record, not records, like account or whatever, saying, hey,
Yeah.
it needs to reflect military, not FMLA, because they're like messing up his leave of absence or something like that. Um, but he was telling me, because he's also trying to get his VA percentages, bumped up. But because he was reservist, he was a reservist. That's why he went. So because you can have a VA disability rating while you're in the reserves or guard part time. It's just when you do your weekend duty, however much that check is, gets them
Mhm.
deducted from your VA payment each month.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that. But but what he said is that a buddy of his who just got his 100% PNT, there is a program you have to apply for. It's not automatic, obviously, because I didn't know this, but I mean it's irrelevant now because I don't need to. But there's a program you can apply for when you're 100% PNT that gives you free healthcare, not only for you but for your family.
Yeah, it's called choice, or
I
it starts
didn't.
with a C.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I had no idea that that was an option for 100% P&T because, obviously, unless you what I've always, under the impression unless you retire, which gives you the ability to give, healthcare to your family, via essentially the same type of TRICARE that
yeah,
you had while you were active duty.
yeah,
VA is usually just for the veteran, right? So I was like, what the fuck? But no, I just thought that was interesting, and I was like, well, I understand probably why they don't promote that because why would the VA do that?
yeah. Yeah, it's all fucked. It is so fucked. Anyways, on a side note, let's tell some dad stories.
Uh, go from stories with our dads to us being dads. uh,
We can do, but I here I'll give one about being a dad. One of my favorite stories about, and it's about DJ. I should have him come in here for this because he's somewhere, but um, and I think you've heard this story. So DJ had a potty mouth when he was little.
had
He's okay, yeah, he's colorful. So DJ's like 2 or 3, and his favorite word is fuck. Like,
can't
and
imagine why.
so, and we get told by someone that you can't use soap in their mouth anymore because it's considered child abuse. You have to use something that is classified as edible. So I order some Ghost Reaper hot sauce or ghost pepper hot sauce or something. So DJ's little bitty, and he's doing something in the house and he says fuck. And Ashley runs over and grabs him, and she's like, DJ, we can't say that. Now we're gonna have to teach you something. So she wipes this hot sauce in his mouth. He's bubbles coming out of his nose, yelling, screaming, crying. He's pissed. And he's like 2 or 3. And then it was like, or maybe I put the hot sauce as well. One of us put I don't remember which one of us, because I know I did after that. And Ashley's like, how do you feel about it? And DJ's crying, and he goes, that's fucking hot, because he used it the right way. So like, and it's so hard not to fucking laugh. So we re-put hot sauce on his lip again, and he's yelling and screaming and all that shit, and he's fucking pissed. And this happens, and it's going on for like 30 minutes, and he just keeps saying fuck. So I had a real big coffee table at the time, and I'm sitting back on my big brown, U-shaped sectional, and Ashley hands him a juice box, and DJ's pissed at me, and he stands up on the coffee table, and he stand up because he used to get on everything. He's like, that's why he's had so many concussions. He climbs on shit, does all kinds of shit when he's little. He's standing on the coffee table, and he looks at me, direct eye contact, and he gets this look on his face. And he looks on that juice box, looks back up at me, looks back at the juice box, looks at me. I was like, don't you fucking do it. He's like, fuck! Whap! Hits me right in the face with this juice box. Juice goes fucking everywhere.
That is a
That's DJ.
clear fucking thing of like inner thoughts just took a hold of that fucking kid right there. God damn, dude.
Oh yeah.
So fuck, man. Well, I mean, I don't want to say like, I mean, my kids have never done anything crazy like that. But what's funny though is like my kids like say some of the craziest fucking shit at the weirdest times, right? And a lot of times, like, I might kind of walk them into it a little bit just for fun. Um, so yeah, this was years ago. Um, it was when we were down in Houston. We went to Gringos in Porter,
Mhm.
right? And so me and my mom, Steve, and both the kids, And for any of the listeners that don't know, I have a white one and a brown one. Um, that that same mom is just like they came out different colors, right?
Mhm.
But and before anybody starts to think about it, it's like their mom has Native American in her, and I'm half Mexican, and our daughter just came out a lot darker than our son, is all it is. So, um, but I always introduce them as like, this is my white one, this is my brown one. But Grace was like, what is this place? Like, yeah, we're going to Gringos. She's like, what's Gringos? I was like, it's a Mexican restaurant. It's for white people. Just that's what Gringo means, right?
Yeah.
She's like, white people? We're like, yeah. She's like, well, I can't go because I'm brown. I was just like, no, baby girl, we're just joking, okay? Like we're just joking. You can go in. But it's just so funny. She's like, white people? Well, I can't go because I'm brown. Like,
Oh, oh God. Well, Tink. So she was another. She had a little potty mouth as well when she was little, which
again, I can't
we
imagine why.
she not as bad. But so where we kind of had to draw the line is we were in church one day, and she didn't go to
Praise
the
fucking Jesus.
yeah, so she didn't go to the child services. She was in there with us.
Child Protective
we're
Services?
we're the child pastors are. So she's in there with us. Well, she'd sit there and she'd be watching Doc McStuffins or whatever on the phone on YouTube. So she's sitting there and watching it, watching it. Well, then she drops Ashley's phone. It's dead quiet in there, and it's like during prayer, like, and dead quiet. She drops the phone, and all you hear is this little voice go, "Oh shit." So from then on, it was, baby, princesses don't say bad words. If you're a princess, and she's like, and we used to hold that over her head. We'd be like, you want to be a princess? Will you say bad words? And when do you hear princesses say bad words? So that actually is why she quit cursing. Yeah.
Oh man. So
Actually, hold on. Don't tell your next story yet. I'm going to grab something. I want to show you something. So have you seen how people are now painting on glass? People are painting on glass, like they'll take a picture frame and they'll just paint on the glass. So my daughter did this.
oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. From like her favorite anime or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that is fucking nuts. Like I look at some of her
That's really good.
artwork. Yeah. Well, I want her to start doing tattoos for me. Like I almost bought her a kit the other day and be like, hey, start practicing on this fake skin. Like, let's turn you into a trade.
But no, so a lot of the stories that I hear about Elijah are kind of secondhand. And I don't want to say it's like, and I never get mad. He's done plenty around me, but some of the funniest things, it's like secondhand. Like Destiny will tell me, what happened, right? Because I think he tries to, and I think it's a matter of respect. He tries to control himself a little bit better around me, which is fine.
Mhm.
But I never get on to it. If he slips up in a cuss word, depending on what's going on. I remember one time he was walking out, he kind of tripped, fell, and caught himself. He's like, "Fuck!" And I was like, "What was that, bud?" And I'm laughing. He was like, "No, no." And I was like, it's fine, buddy. I was like, if you think I don't know that you cuss when I'm not around, like you're you're lying to yourself. Like, come on, dude. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not stupid, right? But it was when we were at a family reunion, and where we were there, like we had this big house that the family kind of rented out, with a bunch of
On your
rooms.
mom's side?
Yeah, my dad doesn't do that. um, but we go down where the house is at, like down a little bit. It was right off of the lake. I don't know which lake. But there's a little beach area. The kids are down there. Go swim or whatnot. Well, I guess one of the boys I guess someone had threw a rock, like a small rock, not like a big rock, but threw a rock. It hit one of the other boys in the head, and it cut him a little bit. It wasn't like anything like crazy, but cut him a little bit, right? And we were back up at the house. We're all sitting at this at the table. I'm on the other end. Destiny's with Elijah, and I can't remember if it was just him or him and one of the other boys. I think they're playing Uno or something, right? And I'm on the other end of the table. I can't hear them. I'm not paying attention. I'm doing something else. Well, Destiny was like, I heard so and so got hit in the head with a rock or whatever, and Elijah, not thinking about his audience or what's going on, right? He's just like, yeah, he's a fucking pussy. And Destiny was like, Elijah. And he was like, and he looks at me to see if I heard it, and she's just like, and Destiny's just looking at him like, really? He's like, I'm sorry. She's like, it's fine. Just come on. I'm right here. Like, like he just was not paying attention to his fucking audience, or whatever. He was like, yeah, he's a fucking pussy. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, so when me and Lane had started dating, the first time she met DJ, so she met DJ before she met Cecilia, and we were going to a Comic-Con or an anime show or anime festival or something. I don't remember what it was. One of those fucking things. So we're driving up 45 and on the way there, and DJ's in the back seat, and DJ, and we've got music turned up, we're jamming out like a good time. DJ like taps me to turn down the music. I'm like, what's up? And he goes, hey bro, what's a blumpkin? I'm like, bro.
that's a good question.
I'm like, oh God. I'm like, where did you hear that? And he's like someone on at school or someone on Fortnite or something. And then not 15 minutes later, he's like, because we've got a rule, and I don't lie to the kids. I like, if they ask me a question, I tell them what it is. I think that one I didn't. I told him I'd tell him when he's older or whatever. So this one happened last week or the week before. Yeah, no, last weekend. So we're at the mall, and DJ says to me, we're walking to the mall, and DJ's like, what does double penetration mean? Because he was asking about the show. And I'm like,
I had a similar incident with fucking Grace, but she said, what does DP stand for?
Yeah. So, well, DJ said it starts out, he goes, what does DP stand for? And I'm like, double penetration show. And he's like, oh, what's double penetration? I was like, it's just, it is what it is. It's just what we call this show.
So
then I see him pull out his phone and on Google and start typing. I said, no, don't look that shit up. Don't look that shit up. I was like, it will come up something different. And he's like, but what is it? I was like, it can be taken in a couple of different ways, but it's probably going to bring something fucked up.
So the question happened when I wasn't around with Grace. She asked Destiny, what does DP stand for, right?
Uh-huh.
And she didn't answer because she didn't want to say double penetration, right? Because then that'll bring up like, well, what's that, right? But luckily, Maddie came in with a great save that kind of squashed it. She was like, it stands for Dude Perfect. Because, but they watch Dude Perfect all the time. They have the app, and then their logo is DP, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of like saved the situation and nothing further, right? So I was just like, whew. And I was like, good thinking, Maddie. Good thinking. Like,
yeah. But DJ started pulling out his phone to look that shit up. And I'm like, no. Because his new thing is now when he doesn't know what something is, he wants to look it up now. He's 12. He'll be 13 in a couple months. And I'm like, no, bro, no.
Yeah,
no,
which, I mean,
no.
Of course. They're at that age.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which, well, yeah, I guess we can go to fucking our childhood stories.
So, fuck, man. Well, I mean, my dad wasn't around for my childhood that much, so.
Yeah, well, you had JD around and shit like that.
Not till later. He didn't come around until middle school, high school.
Yeah, that's true.
He was gone. So, I mean, And that's what I'm saying, like, there's nothing wrong with being a single mom. My mom kicked ass at it, but she would never pretended to be a
Mhm.
dad, you know what I mean? Like, she never and the thing about it is, though, is like and my dad touts this all the time, because my dad collects baby mamas, like trading cards.
Yeah.
But he's like, "Your mom is like the poster of what a baby mama should be. I got no drama, I got no shit, nothing from her." And she was like, she never tried to be like, keep you from me, or whatever like that. Obviously I wasn't the best, example or whatnot, or whatever. But, you know, any chance that I could be, and you wanted to, like, she tried to work it, make it happen, whatever like that. But she gave me no shit, so I was like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so uh with regarding my dad though, like when any times, I did spend summers with him, growing up. I think starting around around middle school time. I think I started like at the end of elementary school, but I went through middle school. I went up there every summer. I think I went up there one summer during high school, but that's when it stopped, obviously, because
Mhm.
like he taught me to drive like on his F-250 and stuff like that, making sure he's like, you get comfortable in driving this thing, you can drive anything, right? And of course, I'm driving while him and his friend are, drinking Jack and Coke in the truck, just so
Yeah.
they can drink, and I'm driving, right? And I'm like 14, 15 at the time. So, oh man. But by all means, it's like, yeah, it would have been cool to have my dad around more, but like I went through I went through a point in time in high school and just post high school as well, like right after I enlisted, as well. Like I had a little bit of not like hate, but like just I had a little like ill will towards him. Like I had some anger there. I was like, dude,
Mhm.
like fuck you, man, kind of thing. But I hold none of that now. I have a great relationship with my dad. Talk to him. I text him every day. I talk to him every so often, but we have a great relationship, and it's nothing. I,
Yeah.
but it was funny. Is like my sister and I have two brothers, but my brother Cruz, the older one, not my 5-year-old brother who's starting kindergarten, which is interesting to say. Um, Cruz and Angel, they'll contact me and shit's going on with dad, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm essentially the middle child in this, right? Because my sister's older than me, Cruz is younger than me, and obviously Zeke, he's the youngest because he's
Yeah.
5. But everybody comes to me for answers, and I tell them the same thing all the time. I was like
Yeah.
disown dad, or like treat whatever like that. It's just like, stop having all these expectations that things are going to be a certain way, because when you start holding expectations to a certain point, knowing that they've never been met before, and it's kind of stupid of you to think that they will be met at a certain point in the future.
Mhm.
That kind of falls on you when you get upset that they're never met. I was
Yeah.
like, so because this is why I like whenever I get told something, I hold no expectation whatsoever.
Yeah. You
If
take it
it's
with a grain
met,
of
if it's
salt.
met, cool. If it's not met, I'm not upset because I had no expectation to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I love my dad. We have a great relationship. Like I said, I hold no ill will towards him or whatnot. But it's just
Yeah.
that it is what it is, based off of everything. So
Yeah, so which my situation, like kind of the same thing. My biological father, he wasn't around for the most of as me growing up that I remember and all that.
yeah, I think I only met him twice. Because obviously I
Um,
know Chris, but
yeah,
I think I only met your actual dad, I think, twice.
yeah. So it's hard for me to give out like good younger stories like like look, and I'm going to refer to each of, so my stepfather that I grew up with, his that's Chris, and my biological father, that is Kenny. So with Kenny, like, because he wasn't there for a big chunk of the life, like there's a lot of core memories and shit that I was never able to make with him, which like, and I'll go into the other side of this here in a second, but it's one of those situations that there was just so much, and for the longest time, I had, like, so much fucking resentment, like, and, like, a tremendous amount because I didn't understand. And like I was told, one side of the story from one side of the family, another side from another. And it was just me kind of being torn, and I didn't know shit. And I was fucking pissed. And like, I still have certain issues with things like, more so, how I have been in life. I've been gone most of my life. Like, I haven't been close to family. I haven't kept like a super tight knit relationship with the family just because, what I've done for my career path and all that stuff. I was gone a lot. And when you're away from home for over a year straight, 2 years straight, things like that, look, I went at one point in time, I think I went 3 years without talking to my mother, like, just create like it to anyone really. And it's just, that's kind of how I was. I put like this different bearing on family than most people, and it wasn't healthy, I know. But so I didn't get to make a whole lot of memories with Kenny, growing up. And now it's weird because we have more of a relationship where I think we talk to each other and deal with each other more like brothers or something than you know father-son situation. I don't know. It's hard to explain because we talk to each other a lot differently, especially he and I can talk to each other a lot differently than talking to my little brothers and little sister and all that.
Yeah.
But I've got some good, I guess I've got some older funny stories and all that, but I just don't have a whole lot because like one of the best ones here, I'll give you a good one from. So whenever I moved in with him, it was right prior to the army. I lived with him temporarily.
I remember
And
because I was the one that helped you move out that day.
yeah, so let's not go into the reason why I moved in over there.
No, I just vividly remember that day.
Yeah, yeah. So I was over there for a little bit of time, and um, I was wild. I was a wild child, and uh we had at Kenny's house, they had a on the other side of the pool, it had like a pool house, and it had like some memorabilia in it. It had your pool table, it had this, that, the other, all kinds of cool stuff. And one night I bring a couple girls home, and we're all fucked up, and yeah, so wake up in the morning to Kenny kicking the couch, and I got a naked chick sleeping on the pool table, two naked chicks sleeping on me on the couch. And he's like, bro, you got to get them the fuck out of here. So he's like, he turns around and looks at the house and to look where my stepmother was. And he goes in there, and diverts her where she's like paying attention to him. She looks over, and she's like, all I saw was naked asses jumping over the fucking fence. you know,
Oh yeah,
but
I remember other incidents of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was a little bit wild. And then, but now let's go to Chris. Look,
Now, obviously, things ended in harsh terms, but I do remember some great times because
yeah,
beforehand, and because I remember he was one like I went. I think from what I remember, like because I can't remember anything before that, but I'm pretty sure you with him and everything that y'all were the ones that took me hunting for the first time. That's what I
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. He's who I shot my first deer with, my first hog. Like, so he grew up. He was very country. He grew up very, kind of a rougher, childhood, rougher parenting and all that. So I got that instilled on me, and I don't hold a single thing against it. Like, it was, to me, what I endured growing up made me who I am, and I actually thank him for it with the rough parenting, because it made me be able to do what I did in the army. It made me a certain type of individual. So no, the negative shit, I didn't understand it back then, where some people would say that's abusive, that's this, that, the other. I look at it as, I'm like, no, that was his only way of knowing how to parent. And I realized it's not going to be the shit that I do with my kids, but it was good for me because I was a hard fucking kid. Like, if I talk to my mother about it now, she says I was a good kid. I was a fucking piece of shit kid. Like
Mamas are gonna defend their boys, you know, that's what it is.
yeah, which, you know, and she and I have had a tumultuous relationship, you know, through the year, and you know, but no, so I wasn't in a family where, you know, you hear the word "I love you" very much, if at all, or shit like that,
Hey,
like,
man, I
or
love you.
or or "Fuck you, faggot,"
Yeah.
or, you know, "I'm proud of you," or whatever. Like that's not something I was used to. But I will say, so there was a moment. This was out of the army. I might have still been in the army at the time. It was after I blew out my shoulder. I had just had surgery. And there's two parts of this story. One of them is something that later I found out that it broke my heart. But so I come home, I'm on leave. We go out to the lake. I'm in a sling and all that. And it was do you remember Rob?
That was after your injury, right?
Yeah, I had surgery. I was in a sling and all that. Um, so do you
Rob,
remember
who
Rob and Tina?
it sounds familiar.
Yeah, they ran around with like Ty and all them too, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Rob moved to Honduras and all
Ty, that's a
that.
name I haven't heard in forever.
Yeah. So Rob moved to Honduras and he came back. Well, so we're at Lake Livingston. We're on Goat Island. So for all y'all that aren't familiar down here,
Fucking Goat Island.
Goat Island is this really big island in the middle of the lake, and there's wild goats and all that stuff on it. So we're out there. We've got the boats pulled up. We're swimming on the beach and all that, drinking some beer and all that. And I'm out there, you know, shirtless, you know, in the water, my board shorts, wearing a cowboy hat, and Rob says something to me. He's like, I wonder what them goats taste like. I look over and I'm like, I'll go catch one. And he goes, no, you fucking won't. And I was like, I will catch one. And I was like, and I'll catch one of them fucking cranes too, because we had them giant white cranes. And he's like, no, you fucking won't. And I was like, I absolutely fucking will. And I walk over to the boat. I grab a rope. I make a lariat and I go barefoot up into the forest on that island. So I'm tracking around out there for a couple hours. I see a pack of these wild goats, and these were some big mean motherfuckers. So what I do is I start going. I'm cutting them off. I throw a rock. They start running a direction. I take off in a full sprint, and you know I was fast. Um, and these goats, I cut
Now
them
you're
off.
just fat.
Yeah, I know. I put my shoulder down and I just nailed one, spun it around, grabbed that lariat, roped it, and, you know, started bringing it back. So I'm pulling it back. I get almost back to where we were. And, and I see where a brooding area where these fucking white cranes would go. So I tied that damn goat up to a tree, a pine tree, and I crawled up, I army crawled up. And because the hogs would bed in that same area, so it was kind of wallowed down. And I get through there, I jump up, jump over, and I grab at one of those cranes by the feet and clutched it, got back out of there, got that goat, and drug it back the way to the beach. So get to the beach, and next thing you know, Uncle Jason, Aunt Jackie, Rob, all them, they all look over at me, and I'm pulling this fucking goat down this beach, and a bird in my hand, and I'm like, "Who's gonna skin it?" Rob looks out over at me, and then looks at Chris, and he goes, "That motherfucker did it." And all I hear Chris say is, he goes, if he says he's going to do something, just know he's going to get it done. And he goes, holy
Don't tempt
shit.
me with a good time, motherfucker.
Yeah. So they end up making me let the goat go and the bird and wouldn't cook it and clean it out there. So yeah, but I was like, that was one of those moments I was like, damn, this son bitch is proud of. Like it was a way of him saying it, but not saying, which he's told me it's sense that he's proud of me and shit. But going back to that same situation. So a couple days later, um, we're back at my mom's house, and you know we're in the house, and me and Chris are talking about MMA because you know I was doing some of that stuff for a little while, and he's like, I could take you, I could take you, I could take you. I'm like, all right. So, and I've got my sling on. I take my sling off. I was like, I'll take you with my sling or with my fucked up arm. So I take the sling off, throw it over on the side. I clutch my arm over, and I clenched them, and then I took them and I put them in a rear naked. And he tapped like that. He was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "Here, let me try this. I'll start on my knees, and you're standing up." So he comes on the approach. I link up with him, and I swung over and kicked him into an arm bar, put him in an arm bar, and then I kind of let him up, and then I put him in a triangle, and and he taps. Well, he's like, "Man," he's like, "I knew you were good." He's like, "I didn't know you were that good." And I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, blah 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 blah. Well, so then fast forward a handful of years, probably 10 years, 12 years after that. I don't know, it would have been, yeah, probably about 12 years. And, he's talking to DJ and they're talking about some different things. And uh DJ and Chris says to him, he looks at him, he says, he's like, never beat your dad in anything. And he said one time, he said, always let your dad win. He said one time, um, when your dad was in the army, me and him wrestled. And he's like, he beat me a couple times. And he said, he's like, it made me feel like I wasn't, you know, what I was. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, and I was in the kitchen when he said it, and I hear it, and I'm like, fuck. Like, it broke my heart that I had hurt him in some certain way of like hurting his pride in it. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to me being a fucking 21-year-old kid, that was like, okay, well, I endured, the ass whoopings and all this growing up. And then
It
now I
it
can,
it kinda sucks though, because it's like you wanna feel like, "Fuck yeah, look at me, I'm badass," and then, like, it sucks though, because like, you don't you
yeah,
because even you as a man, regardless of the situations, like, you don't you're trying to stand on your own, like, "I'm a man, Imma fucking beat your ass." It's like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but that was one that it broke my heart way later because I don't care who, what kind of relationship you have with someone or not, but like it's like the fact that I felt I hurt his pride, is he was that, that father figure for, all those years. And then the son grows up and is like, well, now I can beat you. And it's like,
Yeah.
and then whenever he told DJ, like, don't always let your dad win, I was like, fuck, man, that stuck with him that long. Like, oh,
It's a big
uh,
hit. It can be a big hit, you know?
hmm yeah, especially, you with the amount of masculinity and, 'cause he's a lot bigger than me. He's, what,
He's a big
6'4",
fucking dude,
yeah,
yeah.
6'4", he's, big guy and, you know, athlete. He was an athlete just like I was. And it was just as one of those things that it's like, you know, but yeah. Oh, well, and then I guess another time. So recently, he called me and he was like, so we were talking and a couple years ago, I think it was a couple years ago, he had never heard me sing before. Like I kept, writing music was one thing and all that stuff. And then I don't remember how it happened, but and it was either me singing a Mark Chestnut song or a Cody Jinks song. And he looked at me, he goes, "That's you?" And I'm like, and I, showed him. And then, and after that, I'd record a couple songs and, and then send it to him. And then before I started doing anything else, but, yeah, he was just like, "Oh my God." He's like, "Why didn't you ever, let us know?" Like, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, it just, and I guess that's why for like DJ's not really into singing. He plays the guitar, he's got his over there too. But he raps. Like DJ raps. And it's like, and he's good too, but he raps with some gay shit sometimes. He's got his hair down to here, and he doesn't look like he's a little rapper. Like
Yeah.
he sits there 1 minute and he's listening to corn, and the next minute he's listening to some fucking weird R&B fuckers that I don't even understand. He just starts freestyling. And it's like, God damn, bro, he's good.
It's an art, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, God, dude. My dad, I mean, I mean, he's handicapped now, but because he lost his leg below the knee in a workplace accident. And but before that, he was, and now don't get me wrong, he's lost none of his self confidence, you know.
Yeah.
But before then, he was always, very, very cocky, very self-confident, he stayed in shape. He's a,
Mhm.
he's my size, 5'8", 5'9", but he was jacked dude. Like he's one of those guys, like he was one of those, he knew how to box because like he did do some Golden Gloves boxing when he was younger, but he's
Mhm.
also like that street fighter that like he will just fuck your world up if you got into it with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was a skilled fighter, but he was a raw fighter at the same time. You know what I mean? Um, and so he always used to talk about, like, son, by the time you're able to take a shot at the title, I'm just gonna be so old, you're gonna feel bad. And I would always respond to him like, you say that, but I don't think you understand how much I don't give a shit. Like, and then now, of course, he plays a, son, I'm me being handicapped now and I'm getting older. Like, you're just gonna feel bad. I was like, I will push you down a flight of stairs, you fucking piece of shit. And I will not care. Like, you keep on saying this like it's going to deter me from kicking your ass one day when I
Yeah.
don't care. Like, just because he always wants to play it like, you're not going to want to do it, son. You're just going to feel bad. I'm like, I will do it with a smile on my face and video it and then upload it to YouTube, motherfucker. Like,
Yeah.
like that's how
Oh,
much
yeah.
I don't care about your situation right now.
Yeah.
But it is funny though. Um,
Yeah.
but it's good that we can joke around like that. Like,
Mhm.
and there's not, and granted, his situation with his leg, like he is sensitive about it, but it depends on the person. Like
Yeah.
I fuck with him about it. We can joke back and forth, but depending on the person, he does not like to joke about it. So
Really?
yeah, it really depends on the person. So
Yeah, I could see that. Like, it is a
I mean, I remember when it happened, like and because he was getting most of his uh like medical work done like in the Philippines and stuff like that,
yeah.
and he was getting multiple surgeries and on his knee and trying to correct it, and
Yeah.
eventually it got to the point they were like, you're just never going to have more than like 20-25% range of motion.
Mm.
He was just like, fuck this. And he's like, take it off. And so that's why he did it. So it was a
Yeah.
volunteer procedure. Like it didn't, the accident didn't lead to an automatic amputation. Uh, the road to trying to recover and correction is what got to it. And ultimately, yeah, he made the choice, but he's got a crazy like robotic prosthetic leg and everything like that. But I mean, he's able to be more independent with it now because he's able to
Yeah.
like actually walk. Versus having walking on still like his actual leg that can't have any mobility essentially. And
Yeah.
it took a long time for him to get there. Don't get me wrong, but he's doing a lot better with it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see, his stuff on Facebook and stuff like that. Like, he seemed like he's been pretty fucking
Oh,
happy.
he's living his best life as it would be.
Yeah.
That's recent
Yeah.
too. Like that just like
Yeah, I know. Like, I see some, I'm like, God damn, bro. Like, he lives like he's still fucking in his 20s.
yeah, he's like Tom Cruise. He's just aging backwards. So
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it's weird going from being a son to being a dad. And like, and it's like weird for like guys like you and me that have like these non-traditional upbringings where you're dealing with stepfathers or not knowing and not having your biological fathers in your life your whole time life and all that. And it's I look at that kind of shit for like yours and my dad, and say, look at how much you miss growing up. Like that's shit I would never want to miss with my kids. And I think that's why I have so much overly involvement to my kid. Like if my kid needs me to do something, like I'm gonna, I'm gonna get there and get it done. Like
yeah,
if
yeah,
if I'm on the road or something like that, and I know I'm supposed to get on next weekend, I make an a point to get back in time for it. You know what I mean? Like, and because I can't think of ever missing a single weekend. and it sucks because Ashley moved further away from me to make, my visits harder and make it where it's harder for me to see the kids more and all that shit. And
Yeah. And
um,
now and like I've never like quote unquote missed a weekend. I've had to rearrange some, like,
yeah,
reschedule, whatever like that. But I can't think of time I've ever actually missed a weekend just because it's like, I just can't make it kind of a thing.
hmm,
Um I think there's only been like I think once or twice where I canceled, and one of the times was because of and it was just this past year, the big ice storm that came, right? Because it was my
yeah,
weekend that I had it was supposed to be my weekend to go down there, and I was like, "Hey, guys, I don't know how safe it's gonna be for me to get down there or
hmm,
come back or whatever." So and of course, everybody in the situation was understanding because it's like, look, we don't know what the roads are gonna be like, and if
yeah,
even if the roads, what people on the roads are going to be like, trying and whatnot. So it's like, look, I don't want to get stuck down there because I still have to go to work, and so. But this coming up here this next school year, because even like traditionally, you get kids every other weekend, kind of a thing, right?
yeah,
Well, given my situation, my kids live in San Antonio and I'm up here in Fort Worth. Guess what? I drive down there every other weekend because I'm like, I want to see my kids every other weekend.
yeah,
It's exhausting. It can get expensive. Truck is getting tens of thousands of miles every fucking few months on it. But it's like this is what I have to do. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, and I suck it up, and I'm like, this is my role as a dad. I'm gonna fucking do it. Regardless of how I feel or what's going on. Uh, but I also knew that this was gonna be something that wouldn't always be the what will happen until like the end of time kind of a thing. And it's getting to the point, Elijah's about to start high school. He's gonna be a freshman.
hmm,
And they're both transitioning from online school to in-person school as well, right?
yeah,
Which I'm excited. They're excited, finally, kind of getting back into that normalcy of like being around people all the time, kids and everything. And so this is probably where it's going to start to have to change a little bit. I might switch it up to where it wouldn't be every other weekend, maybe one weekend a month, just because schedules are going to change and my ability and their ability to, do much, especially with getting involved in school stuff. It's just things that might have to adjust.
yeah,
They're getting older. And I'm not expecting them to always want to spend time with their dad. As they get that older. I get it that things are going to change as kids get older, and I live 4 hours away. I can't. That's just the way it is.
yeah.
But I'm never gonna. But I'm always gonna get down there regardless of as much as I can, especially when it comes to like supporting them for whether it's Grace's ballet recitals or the Elisha's baseball games or whatever's going on. I'm getting my ass down
Uh,
there to do that. Period. And but yeah, it's what I have to do right now. And luckily, I got them up here for the summer right now, so it's great. But you know, I this is definitely not what I wanted as a dad. Right? I didn't want
yeah.
to be in this situation.
Oh
I
yeah.
I'm 100% happy. With my new wife, my life, house, and everything. Yeah, this part about it sucks because I don't like being away from my kids like that. And I definitely didn't want my life as a dad to be this way.
Yeah.
But this is where my life is, and and I adjust accordingly. So, and you have dads that don't do that. And that's where I'm like,
Yeah.
how could you not put in 150% effort to be with your kids? Now, I granted, I'm not
Oh
saying
yeah.
that there's a lot of baby mamas that don't make it difficult like crazy. And but what I never accept is when dads give up because of their difficulty of baby mamas. Well, she just kept on doing this and that again. So I just gave up. I was like, I get that they were being difficult. You should have still never given up. Those are your kids.
Yes, but family court has made it where you essentially have to pay for your rights to see your kid, and a lot of guys can't afford that, and
I
and
get
it's
that. It's
hard.
corrupt. But again,
Yeah.
that my notion stands of like there should never be time that you should stop showing that you're trying
Yeah.
because your kids will eventually see that.
Yeah. I know.
Even if you can't always afford to go to court, showing that you're trying, having shown like, hey, I'm trying to go see my kids, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, but then just giving up and then
Yeah, I
not
agree.
trying to
No, I
cut.
agree.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? I get that not everybody's going to have the ability to go to court. I understand that. I'm not saying like go to court, go to court. I know not everybody's
Yeah.
going to be able to do that. What I'm saying is like when they give up because things are difficult, I'm like, look, this sucks. I get it. And I 100% feel for you. But
Mm,
there should never be a time where things are too difficult for you to be a father to your kids when you want to be a father to your kids. Because the
yeah.
second you give up, I was like, okay, then I mean, I'm sorry. You lost me at that point. I backed you while you were fighting, but to give up the fight just because it got hard, I don't support that under any circumstances.
Look, I've heard it too many times, and it irks me whenever you hear the statement, and I've heard it close to me, just wait till they're 18, or I waited till they were
Yeah.
old enough where they could choose and they could come around. They'll realize it, then they'll come back around. And I've heard it so many times, and I've had it told to me uh, about certain situations. It's like, God, man, it's like, okay, you can feel that way. I don't. Like, okay, you know this, the best song I ever wrote, and you know what the song, I still can't sing it. I can't get through it without crying. And it's about child custody and being a father. And it is my most heartfelt one. And I didn't know how to express anything. So I wrote it. And I've tried to sing it on my phone. I've tried to sing it on the microphones. This, it's hard being a dad in a shared custody arrangement. It's hard being a dad and not being there all the time. And
Yeah,
like,
especially when you get notified of something that happens and then it just hits you even harder that
yeah,
you couldn't be there.
yeah, you know, it's hard. It's hard.
Like
Look,
I can literally say, and this isn't me trying to be a tough or anything. It's like I and I know you're the same way. It's like it is an insanely high bar to make me cry. But the only times I've cried in the past, like maybe, I guess year, just thinking about it, has all done with my kids. That's
yeah,
the only time I've ever cried. And
yeah,
that's not to say obviously like if something tragic happened to Destiny that it wouldn't upset me to where I wouldn't cry. What I'm saying is like what will make me cry almost on demand is if I'm missing something with my kids and I can't be there, or I have an immense overwhelming of pride with my kids and I'm just like, I just wish I could be there more. That's what'll make me
yeah.
cry.
Well, like my stepmother and Kenny, they've said many times the only time they've ever seen me cry is if it's got something to do with the kids, and especially going through my custody battle and all that stuff. And like, you know what I mean? And then I look at the statistics of, you read that, when a parents break up, or you don't have, the father in the full-time home, kids are X amount of more likely to be incarcerated, or, have addiction issues, or, broken
And then
homes when they grow up.
I know I've seen a study of when if the kids go into custody with the dad versus the mom,
Yeah.
being with the dad. Yeah, this isn't always, this is a generality. You'd be like, "Well, I know this I know
Yeah,
it's a pe I hate it when
statistically.
people do that. I'm like, "Well, I know someone's like, cool, you know an outlier. This is a generality, this
Yeah,
is a statistic. This is
this
what we
is
talk about, right?"
statistics.
Statistically and generally, kids that go to in a split, if they go to the father, they usually get the same outcome from that household as they would a two-parent household when they go with the
Yeah,
father versus the mother. Now,
yeah,
again, that's not to say that there isn't some good single mothers. There are. This is a
yeah,
statistic and a generality that plays out through all of the country. Okay. Yes, you might have known some great single mothers. Yes, you probably know some horrible single fathers. This is a general statistic, not a, oh, you know better because you know someone else. I don't care. That's not what we're talking about.
yeah. And that's another reason I don't understand why the court systems don't look at the statistics before placing the children, where a father has to prove that they can be in a kid's life, but the mother automatically gets it, when statistically the children come out better being with the father. So I don't understand it,
You
but
want to know my theory?
because it causes a dependency on the government. You get 50% of the population dependent on government.
I'm not even talking about just government dependency. I'm talking about my theory on why it automatically, in court measures, why it automatically goes to the mother versus the father.
Why?
Because statistically, we know that
Men
fathers,
pay more taxes when they
no,
work more.
no. This you're going a different direction than what I'm about to go. Okay, because statistically, we know that the court is always majority of the time going to find in favor of the mother. It's going to take an act of God and then an act of Congress, and then you might get lucky, and the dad might get custody, right?
Yeah.
But we all know generally it goes straight to the mom. Um, And the reason why I think I have nothing to back this, this is me just thinking it through. The reason why I think it goes this way is because we also know that a lot of dads are going to want to fight for custody. And what are they going to
Yeah.
do? They're going to go to court. What is the court going to do? They're going to make money off of this. And therefore, that is what's going to keep on paying and paying and paying and keeping these courts packed and
Yeah.
packed and packed and all this shit. It's all a fucking money grab in the end. We're like,
Yeah.
well, they don't make money off the courts. No. This all goes to the government, to the state, which ends up paying all these fuckers. Okay. It's
Yeah.
all about corrupt court and money.
Yeah. Yeah. No, look, divorces are expensive, child custody. Look, having to pay all the mediations, having to pay all the court fees, the filing fees, when they write the orders, I had to pay those fees. And that was the other shitty part is I had to pay all the fees and she wasn't liable for them. I had to pay I had all my attorney fees. I had, all the court fees, everything. And it's like, meanwhile, the whole time we were separated, I had to pay fucking, for everything still. It's a shitty
Yeah.
situation.
And now, again, I'm one of the insanely grateful, lucky ones that didn't have to go through that shitty of a divorce situation. Okay. Because, I did have a lawyer just to make things more expedient, right? Because if you do pro se, which means no lawyer, it takes fucking forever because you're just waiting for the court to eventually get to it, right? I paid a lawyer to draft up the decree. That way we made sure it was done right, and we're not doing it ourselves and getting kicked back a bunch of times, because we did something wrong, right? Um, and then having the lawyer represent me because this is happening while I was in the military still, and while I was stationed overseas. So when I came home on leave and I was doing all this, I had to go back to England. So my lawyer represented me, and I waived my right to appear. My lawyer represented me for me during the proceeding. And given that I had the lawyer, they were able to go in and get on the judge's docket, like, physically versus, like I said, doing pro se where it takes forever to eventually get there. Right now in Texas, you have to wait for 60 days, their quote unquote cool down period before it can move forward. Right.
Yeah. The
Like I said,
reconciliation.
I am very grateful that I didn't have to go through this shit storm that a lot of people go through. And on day 67, I was divorced. So,
Yeah.
again, like I am very grateful. That doesn't mean there wasn't some contentions every now and then, but again, I'm very grateful that I didn't have to go through that type of shitstorm. And yeah,
You want to know, here, I'll say this. You wanna know why the wife that had the abortion? Okay, I'm gonna tell you this funny
yep.
story. Yeah, so so she wanted that abortion and got that abortion, apparently, and this I
And
found out after the
in
fact.
Alaska,
No, this was in Texas still.
wow,
So, yeah, so she said that and this was I don't think she said it to me. I forgot who she said it to. Someone in the family or it was relayed to me. Maybe she did say it to me. I don't remember. But apparently the reason why she wanted to get the divorce was because um if she felt like if we ever separated or divorced, I would have fought so hard and I would have taken custody of the kid. And she knew that I had the means to do it. And that was the reason why she wanted a divorce from me. Um,
yeah,
which, it does make me wonder now, looking back because she's obviously, she and I have talked since my last divorce and You know, like right after whenever I was going through the divorce, or whenever I was first separated, I don't remember, but we were talking and all that. We went and had beers a couple times, and like, so she got to see picture of the kids and all that, and she follows us on social media. So, you know, she's seen pictures of some of the kids and all that. And like, it makes me wonder, it's like, I wonder if, you know, she ever looks at me with the kids and's like, man, I almost had fucking kids, because she still doesn't have any. Like,
Wow, she never pulled the trigger, huh?
no, no, no. You know, she's never been remarried. Hell, and the last wife, hell, she already got remarried, and now she's going through another divorce.
Mhm.
Did I tell you they're getting
Yeah, yeah.
divorced?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if I told you. Yeah, yeah, but now they're getting divorced. But it's like, no, you know, I wonder that sometimes. Like, well, actually, I don't really wonder. I'm wondering it right now. But other than that, I've never really thought about it. But
No, yeah. God, dude, that's fucking nuts. To think about. And you know what? We need to do this on a different episode, obviously, because we could fill. I mean, this what I'm about to say. We could do a series on this. You know, talking about just messy fucking military marriages.
yeah, well, my military marriage was perfect. It was
No,
whenever
but
I
but I'm saying is like, you know, just that's military marriages for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like it just fucking goes nuts
yeah.
and with the most insane fucking it's one of those things of like, if you didn't live through it or you didn't see it, nobody would fucking believe it.
Oh yeah.
Shit gets so fucking wild.
Look, I'm going to say this. So whenever and this is kind of a dig at the VA. The VA fucking sucks, and they don't take good care of our
Why would you
veterans.
ever think of that?
Yeah, but especially on the mental health side. So look, I get out on MEB. So whenever, and for y'all, anyone that didn't serve that hears this, MEB is a med board. So I got hurt. They put
Medical
me out.
evaluation board. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they put me out that way, just because I was hurt. I couldn't fulfill my duties anymore. So we get shit going through our head, and it kind of fucks us up, whether you want to call it, you know, anxiety, depression, PTSD, fucking being a bitch, whatever you want to call it. I don't give a fuck. But so, and we all handle it different. Well, I get out, and granted, I got a very, very, you know, good job with what I was doing, making, you know, very, very good money. I probably getting out, I got probably a, you know, 400% raise, 500% raise, just in what I did in the civilian world.
And you get
And
and for the most part, I would say like depending on your job, depending on how long you serve and your qualifications,
yeah,
it's possible, but then
yeah,
it's so few and far between just that you get
yeah.
that lucky. You know what I mean?
But I'm just saying, so I came out, and this is how fucked up my head was at the time. So I come out of the army, and I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm being a bitch, you know, and I'm going to say it like that way. But honestly, I had some sort of mental health struggle, just because I'm looking at, you know, our guys are deploying, our guys are doing this or this, that, the other.
And you're at
Um,
home.
and I'm at home being a bitch. You know what I mean? And I'm seeing this, and then um something ultimately happened in Qatar, and we lost some service members. That would have been 2012.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Um so it was December 8th or 12th. December 12th of or I'm sorry, December 8th of 12. Yeah, or 10. Fuck, I'm fucking up my
Fucking move
days.
on, dude.
I can't remember. Okay, so anyways, but anyway, so you know, going through this different shit, well, you know, fucks with your head. Well, you know, at the time, you know, me first getting out, so you know, I'm going through my shit, and I'm being an asshole. I'm pissed off. You know, I'm seeing these guys deploying. I'm seeing this. You know, I missed out on, you know, a couple like deployment to Australia and, you know, some other shit, and it was just, I was pissed, bro. I was fucking pissed, and I was taking out on her and the world, like, not physically, but it was just, I was pissed off. and I wasn't talking about my feelings. And then VA, you can't get into VA. Like we try to get into VA, maybe we want to see a therapist. Well, now guess what? We got to be on a waiting list to even fucking get a therapist or get anything done. And they fuck with us. And which
And
is why you
yeah,
guys so
trying to
many,
get not only that, trying to get referrals, authorizations.
yeah,
You have to
which
go
is
through so many levels to get to that point.
Oh yeah, which, ultimately caused me, my divorce. I was being a fucking piece of shit asshole. I really was because I didn't know how to handle my emotions. And it was mainly because of, shit getting out of the army. And you think about it and like, look at how many, they say 22 veterans a day commit suicide. And I know a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
veterans that have committed suicide. It's like, bro, if the VA would do their fucking job, guys
Now,
wouldn't be eating a bullet. You know what I mean?
so like now, I'm by no means trying to defend the VA by any means. I think it goes to a few different layers, right? One, it's the government, and the government refuses to put any investment in modernization and
Yeah.
just funding to is what I think. What I think in some aspects. Now, granted, again, VA fucking sucks. We all know that, but I think in some areas, in certain aspects, I think there is a little bit of overwhelming of the system, and they refuse to give more funding to address the overwhelming of the system. Right. So that's why
Yeah.
shit gets ungodly backed up all the time
Mhm.
and then lost in
Yeah.
translation. And then a part of the modernization, right? Of just trying because think about it this way. And there was a brilliant fucking comedian that did this. Um he's prior Marine and he had I think he fucked up his elbow and everything like that. And he needed to get a copy of his x-ray or something like that from the VA to send to his community care doctor, right? Um and they're like, or no, he need to get it from his community care doctor to send it to his to the VA, right? And they're like, okay, cool. So I can get it from the. Can I just you know email the images to you, right? Like, no, you need to get it burned onto a CD, and then you can fax it over or mail it to us. That's
Yeah.
how out of date and fucking technologically bullshit that the VA is. That they
Oh,
cannot
yeah.
just do. They can't take that kind of stuff. They have to still take CDs and faxes versus just modern fucking communication
Oh, yeah.
ways.
Well, it's shit like that. It's how they handle shit is why we're having so many okay, chronic pain. Let's talk about chronic pain real quick. I've been in chronic pain for fucking what 18, 20 years now. Just a nagging constant fucking pain through here. Like we've talked about it, how it is after my injuries. Like I had my bad shoulder injury, then after the surgery I got adhesive capsulitis which caused more damage, this that, and then down. Like how in the fuck can they say, oh yeah, we're going to give you a percentage of disability for your scar on your shoulder and this and the injury, a small percentage on that, but we're going to deny your chronic pain, though we know because we say it's not service connected. And then when you want to get a second opinion, they're like, oh no, we'll just keep pushing that down the road. Like I've been trying to get him with a VA to get seen to get my my percentage reevaluated for about 3 to 4 years now, and I can't get in, like to get shit done. And they keep saying, "Oh, well, we're booked up, we're overbooked, we're this, that, the other," and it's like, fuck, bro, like do your fucking job, like
Yeah,
either hire more people, send it to the civilian sector, do something because doing nothing isn't the right answer. Because how many times do people get these little nagging pains or little bitty things, and it just like binds you, like that shit'll make you fucking eat a bullet. Like you're like, fuck, I don't even want to deal with the pain no more. Like you
yeah.
you got these
What I
athletes that get knee injuries or
yeah.
back injuries that just they eat a bullet or whatever because they can't deal with the nagging pain no more, and the VA's causing that shit on soldiers.
This is what because I was actually thinking about this today, and what I think, this is what I compared it to. So, let me know what you think. Like we have our people, a lot of them that see the dirty, ugly side of war, a A lot of them that just, see the so for people like you, right, that see the ugly sides of war, and then people like me, I deployed 4 times, but I'm not a outside the wire guy. I didn't have bullets whizzing by my head, I didn't have bombs blowing up next to me. But we get out, and we don't have to get sent towards war zones anymore. We don't go to fight a war in the Middle East or wherever in the world anymore. Instead, we're facing a war of attrition when it comes to the VA, because what it does is trying to fight and get through the system, and they just keep on funneling us around. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen videos of guys on the phone going through the call tree in the VA, right? And they eventually loop themselves back around to where they started because they're following the call tree. It's a war of attrition, so like we just give up eventually, and they don't have to deal with us.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've called them and then I get looped back around to the first menu and it's like, hit 9 to return the previous menu. I'm like, bitch, that's the same thing I heard whenever I first got on.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to say, like, it's bad enough. Like, I know you haven't seen a lot of the like I watch Candace Owens every day, and this past week, so last week, she was out on a family vacation. She went to Russia, right? And of course, what's the first thing people do? Oh, look, she's working with Putin and whatever. And I'm like, you guys are dumb. Like, you can go to Russia. Like, it's not like it's not like Iran or Afghanistan.
Yeah.
You can go to Russia. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? Um, so she goes to Russia, and she brings security with her, right? One guy, I can't remember if it was Australian or British, for like former SAS type stuff. I can't remember which one it was, but I just know he was an American. The other guy was former SEAL Team One, right? In his 40s, not particularly older, right? Like so relatively young, but not particularly like older either, right? So, but former SEAL Team One guy. They make the flight, international flight, land in Russia and everything. They get to their hotel, and while Candace and her family's in their hotel room, the security guys, I think she said they were down in either in the lobby or like at the restaurant of the hotel, right? Well, the SEAL team guy collapses. And so the other guy comes up to tell Candace, like, hey, just want to let you know this happened and whatnot. And so they obviously take the SEAL team guy, they take him to the hospital, in Russia. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, he needs something's going on. Turns out he had a brain aneurysm that ruptured. And the guy had no idea. And obviously Candace and them, they had no idea, because it's one of those things, like, what's one thing you don't do with a brain aneurysm? You don't get a fucking pressurized cabin and fly across the world. Like that's a bad thing to do. And so what happened is that he had been trying to get into the VA for months because of pain he was having, because of things that was going on, trying to get seen. And they kept dismissing him, saying like, oh, you have PTSD, because he's a teams guy. He's had PTSD. He kept trying to push more pills on him, refusing to do any investigation medically wise to see what was going on with him. And now he's in Russia still to this day, because they did multiple brain surgeries to get the aneurysm out. And he's recovered. He's doing physical therapy and recovering in Russia right now. And and regardless of anything, like, I'm very thankful that the team's guy was. I don't care where he was. I don't care if it was Qatar, for all I give a shit. I'm very thankful that he's got the help. He got the help. He got the surgery. And he's recovering. Right?
Yeah.
I don't care where he was. I don't care. I wouldn't even care if it was Iran. If he got help and he was recovering, good that it's done. Right? It's worse. It's worse enough to think that our elite fighters, like this team's guy, or Green Berets, or Marsa, whoever that are elite guys, are getting shit on and disregarded as much as they are. And to be in that elite level in the military, which we already have less than 1% of the country decides to enlist and serve the country in the military, right?
Yeah.
Then you have such a micro percentage of that 1% that can qualify to be at the elite level for teams, Green Beret, motorcycle, whatever, right? And then they're getting shit afterwards. But then you have people like me that are just the everyday people. You know, I'm a supply guy that make up the vast majority, you know, not including like pilots and stuff like that. They kind of have their own category, which, but I'm talking like me, support guys that support, you know, all the other functions, right? From medical to finance to admin to, you know, guys like me, supply, maintenance guys, whatever like that, that are the vast majority of the military.
Yeah.
I want people to understand that it's not just the elite fucking fighters, which respect, unbelievable respect, and I praise everything that they do, but it's not just the elite fighters that go through this. We go through this shit as well. Like, it's not, the VA is not discriminatory on who they're shit with. And I just want people to understand that it's a shit system for all veterans, not just the elite fighter veterans. And it's just sad that they don't get taken care of better, given what all they sacrificed, you know, for shit that we'll never know of. And then you have people like me that are still given, you know, didn't do shit like that, but we still get the shit into the stick because it's still a fucking trying to figure out what will I have to do just to get, I don't know, something to justify, like, hey, I'm in pain here. Can I just get an X-ray to see, make sure? Like, no, we're just going to give you naproxen and we'll see what happens.
Look, I'm going to say it like this: our federal government, our state government, in our nation does not take well enough care of all the motherfuckers that picked up a pen and that piece of paper and signed their name on that dotted line. Because once you sign your name on that dotted line, then they're like, fuck it, we have you. You don't fucking matter no more. They want us to have this major sense of patriotism and love for the country and do as you're told mentality. But then in retrospect, after it's all said and done, they throw you to the curb and they're like, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
In the end, we're just a number. We're a number.
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
easily replaced. That's all we are.
It is. And, you know, the VA, the federal government, the state government, like, they do not take care of motherfucker. I don't give a fuck if you've deployed 50 times or you get hurt in fucking basic training and get recycled out. If you chose to sign your name on that fucking line to go in to ultimately know that you might have to sacrifice yourself for this country, all of those should get the same categorization of support and admiration from the government. Like, all of them.
Hang on, before you go too far, I'm gonna give one minor, slight, itty bitty pushback on what you just said. If you get hurt and recycle out of basic training, they should make sure you're taken care of what happened in basic training. But I think it really depends on what happened in basic training, because I have a little bit of like one of those things of like, yeah, like I'm a veteran. I was like, but I got hurt and then they just kicked me out of basic training. I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean here? Like, you didn't even make it. I'm not saying you didn't get hurt, but like, what happened? Like, you know, like, depending on what happened that got you recycled, that got you kicked out, like injury wise, given that I know people can get severely hurt in training. I'm not saying that can't happen, but because I hate that it's like, I'm a Marine. Oh yeah, well, like, where'd you serve? I was like, well, I mean, I got kicked. I got hurt in basic, and then they had to kick me out. I'm like, yeah, even Marines don't buy that shit. Like, you're not a Marine.
I've seen really good soldiers.
I've seen AIT and stuff like that is a different story. I'm saying, like, basic training is where I give a little bit of like, I don't know. Like,
okay, I guess like I don't know anyone out of basic, but out of,
because
like,
if you make it through basic, you make
like
see, jump school is different. What I'm saying is, like, when you're going through those types of trainings, I get that, because those that is shit that can seriously injure you. Okay.
Well, oh no, I do remember. I know of a guy that he fell off the tower. He fell off the tower.
That's a serious thing, right?
Yeah.
But as far as like, I got shin splints from running.
Oh yeah, no, that
Which I've heard stories of that. I like, I got shin splints and then they pushed me out because, I couldn't recover. I'm like, no, fuck you. You're not a veteran. I'm sorry. Like,
well, I thought on all those minor injuries they'd keep recycling you through until you.
that from now, granted, I don't know how it is nowadays. I just know that
Yeah.
at a certain point that they do get kind of sick of your shit and they just put you out because they don't want to keep recycling. Like, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, we know we invested to put you here, but you either just get the fuck out of basic training and move on, or just go home.
So my thing is you can't give the Fed an inch or they'll take a mile. So you can't give them an opportunity to cause division between that. Because then they'll find little reasons why they're going to fuck over that guy who fell off the tower and broke his back and couldn't carry
Well,
on.
no, so but see, something like that. What I'm not saying you give an inch or a mile. What I'm saying is, like, that right there, it holds a different standard because of when you go through those types of like the obstacle course or whatever like that. Depending on the training, whether there's a different evaluation on how, if you get hurt in that situation versus of, like, oh, I got hurt in regular PT, or I'm getting hurt because I got tendonitis or something like that. If you get hurt doing, like you said, you fell off the tower, that's a completely different way to go, that they have to, like, that they can't evaluate it under the same circumstances. Like,
Oh,
they
okay.
will
What
get they
about
will, they will get into extreme trouble and I'll give you an example. Slightly different method of medical, but it falls into the same type of thing, same type of category of how they have to evaluate it, and why the Army specifically got into a lot of trouble. Because Destiny, I know she spoke about this. I think I don't know. I know she may have told you this, or whatnot, but the Army got into a lot of trouble, misdiagnosing people who had PTSD, and then changing the diagnosis to borderline personality, because they are very similar, in circumstances. They are very similar in how you diagnose them, right? But what would happen is they would come back, they would get diagnosed with PTSD. Upon further diagnosis, evaluation, there was a shit ton of Army soldiers that were getting changed to borderline, and then they would get forced out, and therefore they wouldn't qualify for certain VA care and stuff like that. And it got, dude, stop crying like a bitch. Um, and they got into
I'm
a lot of
choking, bro.
they got into a lot of trouble, and Destiny was actually on the task force, um and again, to start going over all these records, to evaluate the ones that were changed, to say, hey, this is not right, this is not a borderline, this is actual PTSD, and to make sure that those soldiers, because there was a few in the Air Force, but it was mostly the Army that did this. So they got into a lot of trouble for that.
So let's say hypothetically you're on Glory Hill, 26-mile march,
Glory hole? What?
Glory Hill. Excuse me. You tore your ACL and meniscus.
Um, I'm not trying to justify anything, or say that that person is a bitch or whatever like that. What I'm saying is like, um at certain points, depending on what the reason and how they'll medically put you out. At least, okay, look, again, I'm speaking from the Air Force standpoint because I don't know your dumb ground pound Army bullshit. Um we have a specific, well, I think they changed the squadron number, but back when I was in tech school, the medical squadron was the 319th. That was where you got sent over for medical hold, right?
Yeah.
And you'd have people there for months. And it's because, like, it takes forever to just kind of push you out that way versus just graduate from basic training already, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times it would be like, hey, you're gonna spend some time to recover, and then we'll put you back into a BMT flight to push you out. But eventually, at certain points, they get sick of your shit because they're like, no, you are just being, because at some points people try to go to the medical squadron because they just don't want to do the basic training.
Yeah.
Shit.
So let's say hypothetically you're on like a land nav course or a PFT, and you go to take a shit in
Yeah.
the
What's PFT?
like a field, like just field training.
Okay.
Or not PFT. Fuck, I can't think of what it's called now. But let's go say you're gonna shit in the little shit trench, and you squat down, or you're using your e-tool as a toilet, and you're taking your shit, and Copperhead jumps up in Georgia and bites your nuts. Do
That's
you?
natural selection. You're a dumbass.
All right, well, fuck it. All right, well, you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, but but I get when it comes to what you're saying. It's just the basic training ones always get me like when people are like, I'm fighting with the VA right now to get my percentage, whatnot. We're like, oh, okay, well, like where how where we stationed, how long you do, whatever like that, and we're like, well, I just I didn't make it through basic because I got hurt. I'm just like, okay.
So look, do do they get benefits if they get hurt in basic? Because
It dep
I don't know this.
it depends on the injury, that's what I'm saying, like,
Okay,
your guy that fell off the tower, he would
yeah,
definitely qualify because I mean, that's next level shit, okay,
yeah,
like, that is an insanely impactful, thing that will happen to
yeah,
you, right?
oh yeah,
Now, when it comes to oh fuck, again, and I've heard stories like this, like, I'm getting shin splints, I
yeah,
can't run, therefore they're trying to get out of taking their
yeah,
final fitness exam that they have to pass in order to get out of basic training, and they
yeah.
use that as an injury to get out. Fuck you.
So look, and the only reason I said because the only way I can quantify it is the moment you sign your name on that piece of paper. Like,
I get you get credit for that. But
like I
but
don't,
there's certain points
because
whenever you get to basic training, which I saw like firsthand,
yeah,
a guy like literally on the first night start crying, saying, I made a mistake, I want to go home. And I swear to God, in my flight, like he on the first fucking night, he started crying 2 seats over from me, saying, I made a mistake, I want to go home. And he eventually went to the medical flight and to go home. So
I wonder if they should change it to where, like, when you enlist, you go through basic and you don't sign your contract till you make it through basic.
kind of like a try before you buy thing. Mhm.
Yeah, and then that'll weed out a lot of fucking look. We got, and I know other guys that have talked a
I'm
lot
not
about
gonna
it.
lie, that's not a bad idea.
Like
Because
they've
think about it, because
they've
you get a lot of people that change their minds. It's like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I didn't think it was gonna be like this. I'm like, okay, cool, bye.
then you get a soldier that's heart's not in it. You know what I mean? You
That's the
want
person you don't want there the most of all.
exactly, exactly. You don't want those. And I know guys that have had guys, privates go to their units, their platoons, and that had that mentality of they just didn't want to fucking be there. And they were always shitty soldiers. They were buddy fuckers, blue falcons, like
Yeah,
what?
and the thing is though, is like those guys that even the ones that say that, but they end up making it through, and then they go on into the active duty, full on, like make it through AIT or tech school for us, and go into the full operational
Yeah.
military doing their job. They're the worst fucking people, and we should have
Yeah.
given them a way out at the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I get that. Now I will get. I don't validate it. I get the argument of like, look, they had already positioned that to hopefully make it to this one point to fill a job. I get now we're creating a hole in that job. I'd rather have a hole in the job than a shitty fucking person next to me that
Yeah.
doesn't want to be there.
100%. Especially when you are, especially on combat MOSs. Like combat MOSs, especially because you don't want a guy that's heart's not into it next to you in a firefight. You know what I mean? Like,
Because who's to say
you,
he's not gonna run?
yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay, well that was a nice little rant to end on.
yeah. Fuck the VA. The VA sucks. Shit, did you see World's Sluttiest Dad? Yeah. And it's Happy Motherfuckers Day. Yeah. So, all right. Well,
To all the dads out there, hope you have no baby mama drama.
and to our fathers personally, thank you for what you did or didn't do in our upbringing.
Love you, Dad. I know you don't listen, but I'm gonna put it out there.
He don't listen.
Huh?
He don't listen.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I know. I said he don't listen. Like you got to fucking put that shit where it automatically pops up on his thing every time he gets in the truck and
It,
it starts playing.
no, like the thing is, it was like no matter what I do, like trying to get him to remember anything. Like real quick, just one fun story about my dad before we wrap up. And this was literally just this like I want to say like 6 7 months ago, 6 7. So the whole
That was
my dad,
gay.
I know, right? My dad is probably the worst when it comes to like remembering a fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
I um again, when you hold no expectations, you never let down. I don't expect him to call him on my for him to call me on my birthday. Now, I don't care. Like, I'm not expecting to get a bunch of happy birthdays because I'm not a 19-year-old fucking girl. But I don't expect him to wish me happy birthday on my birthday
Yeah.
just because I know he's gonna forget. Um, now he was calling me because he was updating some stuff on like his financial sides, right? He literally called me. He was like, "Hey son, when's your birthday?" And he's on speaker, and with his financial people, right? He's like, "Hey son, when's your birthday?" And I was like, "Really?" And everybody in the room started laughing, you know. And so he's like, "Yeah, really." So I tell him my birthday. And he's like, "And your sister's birthday is, this," and he says a year. I was like, "Nope." And I tell him the right year because I know my sister's birthday. And he's like, "Cruise was and he's trying to think of, and I tell him the year. I was like, "You want to know your 5-year-old son's birthday as well? Like, I mean, like, do you remember your birthday? Like, how about that? Like, like it's my dad. My dad doesn't remember a fucking thing. So
Well, so me and Kenny, we have a pact where we have to call each other. So we save like important dates in our phones, but we have to call each other and remind each other, hey, FYI, so and so's birthday's on this date. Or hey, FYI, like he called me the other day and he was like, hey, Father's Day's this weekend, right? And I didn't realize it was this weekend. And I'm like, shit, okay. And he's like, and it's your sister's birthday. I'm like, okay, cool. So
well, and
yeah,
this same for me. Like, Destiny got a Amazon package. She's like, "Oh, it's your Father's Day gift." I was like, "Oh shit, that is this weekend." Like, then I was like, "I don't fucking remember." So,
yeah.
because again, like dads don't care about Father's Day because nobody cares. Like,
We just want all of our rights to be a dad. That's all we want.
and we want to be left the fuck alone. How about that?
Yeah, take the day away and give us equal shared parent.
All right, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, but never forget, text forever, motherfucker.